Tara, this is Jamie Haynes with Texans Wake Up. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. So, Tara, you're a parent in Fredericksburg, Texas. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. I am have the map pulled up here, and I'm doing some screen recording as I'm talking to you. But I'm just showing everybody kind of where Fredericksburg is. You guys are really right in the center
The
of
hill
Texas,
country of
the hill
Texas.
country of Texas. Okay.
About an hour and a half away from Austin, about an hour 15 from San Antonio.
Okay. And your kids go to a public school district there, correct? Fredericksburg ISD?
Yes, ma'am. 3 out of my 4 go there. My oldest is in college in
Oh,
Arkansas.
okay, awesome. And your superintendent is Dr. Joe Rodriguez?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. Just kind of establishing some information there.
Yes.
So next, I was going to, I've created a little timeline that talks about some of the issues with pornographic materials in our Texas libraries, in Texas independent schools. And one of the entries that I put in here was that on March 27th of this year, 2022, that Fredericksburg ISD removed 10 books permanently from the district based on a policy called EF Legal or EF Local. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I have down here that you guys removed, I'll just run through them real quick because I know you're familiar with them, but Fade, Later Gator, TTYL, Eleanor and Park, Me, Earl and the Dying Girl, Jailbait Crank, Looking for Alaska, Jesus Land, and Perks of Being a Wildflower. Does that sound about right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just for our viewers and listeners, I do want to point out that Canyon Independent School District, if you go to texanswakeup.com and click on books, and you can sort by Canyon ISD over here on the left and move through all these books, but that Canyon does have all of these titles except for Jailbait and Jesus Land.
Okay.
Just wanted to point that out for listeners. Okay, so we also saw that on, I think it was April 20th, the Fredericksburg Standard Radio Post, which is your local newspaper there, even though it says radio, it's a paper, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. It's a printed paper, and they do have, I believe, an electronic version as well.
Okay. And you guys had what do you call this? Someone submits a article to the publication and gets it posted, because like this lady named Irma Delgado is not with the paper, but she wrote this article. Is that correct?
Yes, she is a local patriot here in Fredericksburg. It's been, obviously has the same concerns that we do. And yes, she is the one that wrote that article.
Okay, so I'm just going to pull up so everybody can see the Fredericksburg Standard Radio Post website.
And I can tell you a little history about that, why that happened, if you would like me to.
Yes, absolutely.
I do not want to give the paper any credit for that. That article made it in there because someone else in the community that has been concerned about, I guess, the inaccurate information, to put it nicely, that our paper has been publishing, saying that there were no sexually explicit books in the library. We're just making it up. We've been called extremists in the paper. So
in the Fredericksburg Standard?
Yes.
Okay.
The Fredericksburg Standard publisher, Mr. Ken Cook, actually submitted a PIR to our school district to get the names of all the parents that have submitted book review forms that we wanted them to be reviewed and be removed. So he got a list of all of our names. So yes, that has happened. They have not been, I guess you would say, fair in all of this. I've sent them the excerpts. They refuse to publish them because it's a family paper, but it's okay to be in the school. So the reason why Miss Delgado got her article put in there was that another local concerned citizen contacted, I believe it's called like the Mossier Group, Mossier, and they actually own about 30 small papers in Texas. The Fredericksburg Standard is one of them. So they contacted them to express their concern about the coverage of what's going on in our town. And basically, the Fredericksburg Standard was required and told they had to publish Miss Delgado's article. At first, it was just a letter to the editor, but it ended up being a guest, article, which we think is fabulous because it was great. It has our website on there, makeschoolsafeagain.com. And so the people of our community can go to our website and actually see the excerpts now. And so that was a big win for us.
Okay, so makeschoolsafeagain.com. And now, are you involved with this site?
Yes, ma'am. I'm the founder and creator of the website and everything. So, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's interesting. This book issue is, not just up here in our community. It's really all over Texas, and parents all over Texas are fighting this.
In the nation.
In the nation, yes. Okay, so I had also found this article from Texas Scorecard entitled "Fredericksburg Parents Winning Fight to Exclude Explicit Books from Schools." And so there's a paragraph in here, it says, in another win for parents, Assistant Superintendent Robin Darrington announced some of the books they'd challenged in February of 2022 as inappropriate would be taken out of libraries after an administration review found they were pervasively vulgar, not educationally suitable, and in some cases sexually explicit. Now, before you comment on that, I want to point out something. There's a policy called EF Legal. And I just want to, read a little bit of what it says. It says removal of library materials. Students' First Amendment rights are implicated by the removal of books from the shelf of a school library. A district shall not remove materials from a library for the purpose of denying students access to ideas with which the district disagrees. A student may remove materials because they are pervasively vulgar, or based solely upon the educational suitability of the books in question. So, okay, my big question to you is, and I want to go back to the timeline, and I want to point this out because you guys got these books removed in, was it February? What do you recall?
I first started and looked at my first library ever the beginning of February. I wanted to look in my son's library. And so I looked up online. I was like, this can't be right. These books can't be here. So I went in person and I looked and they were there. So our policy, having a new superintendent, having a new assistant superintendent, we didn't have policies set up. We didn't have a form. We didn't have a book review committee, nothing. So what I did was I took excerpts, pictures of them. I put them on a spreadsheet, and you'll see those also on makeschoolsafeagain.com. And I emailed our school board, and I emailed our superintendent and our assistant superintendent, and I just didn't give them a list. I showed them what was there. I said, this is in the middle school, available to 11-year-olds. This is in the high school. This is in both. We need to get these out.
And they pulled them in.
Well, yeah, and when you say EF legal, people need to know it's important. That is law. That's school board law. They have the right, any school board member, any superintendent, any administrator has legal authority to pull anything out of a school that is pervasively vulgar or educationally unsuitable. They're protected. But so many school boards and superintendents are fearful and afraid of the backlash. And trust me, I get it. I've been attacked here in our town, but they have the legal right to do that. So luckily we had a school board, a superintendent that followed the law. He's not doing me a favor. He's not doing the other side a favor. He's basically doing what's best for children. And he's following the law.
Okay, Tara, here's something I really want to make clear. So when you say he pulled these books, so did you have to fill out a form? Did it have to go through a committee of parents and school staff before they were removed? Or did he just pull them based on he was notified of this material and he got it out?
When I first complained about this, and I was the first parent in the district, they had no plan. They had no form. But then they quickly created one, and it was a terrible form. And I had already had a PIR submitted on me. So I'm like, I'm not giving you any more of my personal information because I don't want these people to know where I live. I'm being doxxed, right? And so with the excerpts, that was enough because they read. I did the hard work for them. They saw what was in the book. The superintendent created an administrative committee. I think it was 4 or 5 of them in the administration building. They looked at the books, they looked at my excerpts, and they said, no, this doesn't have to go to book review. That we are covered by law and EF legal to remove these immediately. We don't have to waste teachers and parents and community members' time. These are pervasively vulgar, get them out.
Okay.
And so that's the route we're trying to go right now.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Before book review.
And I know it's hard to remember dates and times, but approximately from the time you notified the school for the first time about this material, from the time that the district announced that they had pulled at least some of these books, what ballpark are we talking? Are we talking a month? Are we talking 4 months? How much time?
Oh, trust me, Fredericksburg and what we've done here, we've been extremely blessed. I talked to mamas like you and then others around, Leander and Round Rock and everywhere. And they're like, we've been in this fight for a year and a half. And I'm like, gosh, I just found our first book beginning of February and informally, submitted it. And then by March, I think you said the 27th was our big school board meeting. They were out. So we really, 6 weeks maybe? And I think it maybe would have even been faster that they would have been announced at that school board meeting. But, we had spring break and it was an extra week longer. And so school board meetings are only once a month. So it was important for our superintendent to be able to write a new EF local policy, which I believe that I sent you. And he added the EF legal language about pervasively vulgar into our EF local. So our school boards felt a little bit more brave knowing that it's a local policy, that a book can be removed for being pervasively vulgar. So it happened really fast for us. Now we're in a little bit of a standstill at the moment because, now they've created the book review committees and all of that stuff, and we've submitted a lot of books. But yeah, so it happened. We're very blessed here. And
okay.
We got them pretty quick.
Okay, so now you're saying now there is a committee and y'all are going through that procedure to remove them. What changed? What changed occurred that they could, one, pull them immediately before, but now they have to go through a committee? Do you know?
Well, they don't. It's still the same way. Our superintendent at the end of March at that school board meeting, he created or added to our local policy that when a parent like me submits a book with excerpts like I have done, a principal would have 5 days to determine if it's pervasively vulgar or educationally unsuitable. He has 5 days. And so I have sent books to a principal here, and he has pushed them to book review because that's his choice. He can either say, yep, they're gone, or the principal, he or she, can say, no, we need to put this to book review just in case, I don't want to be on my head, kind of sort of thing. So it's tricky, it's tricky. We need brave administrators because right now our principals are the first step where we can get them out immediately. But as our superintendent has said, any administrator in the district can pull a book for being pervasively vulgar.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so let me ask you a couple of questions because I just have them popping into my head right and left. Okay, so one, this committee that you're talking about, that if the principal says, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and push it through the committee and not pull this one myself, is there one committee that removes from the library, and then is there a second committee that removes from instructional materials in the classroom, like a reading list?
We have not contested the reading list up until we have found out that some of the books we submitted, The Glass Castle, Kite Runner, are both being read in the classroom at our school, and that's new information that we found out at the latest book review committee. So it's the end of the year. They're not going to use them right now is what we're being told because they're being contested. But so we haven't gone that route yet. But right now, as long as we have a strong principal, and I think that we will. It was a bit of a tricky situation where it was an interim principal at the high school and all of that, but he's officially hired on now, so I have big hopes for him. But what I want to do and what I am going to do is just submit these excerpts to the principals of these schools, and then if I have to meet with him within that 5 days, then I'm hoping that they're going to be brave enough and strong enough and save all the work for the book review, which our superintendent has created too. Again, at that March 27th meeting, we have an elementary book review and we have a secondary book review committee. So they can choose either pull it out or they can send it to book review. If we don't have strong administrators who are going to stand up, these people are vicious out here. I mean, they really are. We've been attacked, we've been defamed, we've been doxxed, but we're trying to support our administrators and our superintendent to encourage them to do the right thing and just don't even send them to book review.
Well, I think it speaks so loudly of the character and integrity of the administration that they have worked with parents and that they have removed these books immediately and didn't make them go through this long drawn out process. Okay, so another question I want to ask you, and I don't know if y'all have discussed this, Tara, but when a book gets pulled and removed from the library, is it pulled forever or is it pulled for a set 5 years, 10 years? Do you know that?
A date has not been set, or a time has not been set to my knowing right now. But what has been, because immediately when we got the 10 removed, we had, I say the other side, the people that are coming against us with this, they were talking about gathering donations, donating them to the library, donating these 10 books to classrooms. And so I immediately got on the phone with the administration. I'm like, listen, if they're removed from our district, can they come back in any way? They're like, absolutely not. They're done. They can't come back in. So I don't have a date on that. I need to probably ask that. But I know the new TEA recommended policy put some years on that. I think it's like 5 years. It can't be contested again or something like that. So I'm sure that's coming down where districts are going to start putting, dates on there. But, hopefully if they're pervasively vulgar now, they're still going to be pervasively judged as pervasively vulgar 10 years from now. So they really shouldn't be coming back.
One would hope. And then two,
Yes.
in our situation up here in Canyon ISD with our superintendent, Daryl Flusche, we are having a book when it's pulled, it's only pulled for 10 years. But then we're reviewing books at the pace of 7 books a year. So, I mean, we've found at least, and I mean, there's way more than that, but just as a sample on my website, there's 56 books that we've identified. Well, if you're doing them at the pace of 7 a year, we're barely going to get done before it's time to circle back again and start re-reviewing and resubmitting. So it's kind of like, we're in this endless circle.
Does your EF local put a timestamp on how long the book review committee has?
I need to go look at that because I know that they're revamping everything now in our district, but it's just been extremely frustrating because we notified them about harmful material in fall of 2020, and it's just been ongoing. And I just applaud the leadership at Fredericksburg and you parents for working with them for having these immediately pulled. And so I do want to bring up one other thing. I know our Texas Commissioner of Education, Mike Morath, came out with a model school board policy. And so I just wanted to point out that came out, I believe, April 11th, if my dates are correct here on my timeline. Mm-hmm. But this policy, came out after you guys pulled material from Fredericksburg Library. So, to me, our school district is saying now they can finally do something, that they have direction from TEA. But you guys did pull these books before this model board policy came out. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And our school administration here knew that something was coming, or they knew that in the fall, when our Governor Abbott was talking and demanding TEA to do something and all of that. They knew it was coming down the pipe, but that didn't matter. I mean, I showed them the books, I showed them the excerpts, and I proved to them that they were basically vulgar. And they're like, okay, well, we have legal protection, so it's what's best for children, so let's do that, I mean, they totally didn't need this new policy. And from what I'm hearing, TASB is going to come out with their review or their suggestion on this new EFB local from TEA on the 16th of this month. And so then our school district is going to look at our current one, look at that one, and then look at the TEA one and create a policy that works for our district. So I know that's what our district is going to be doing.
Okay. Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, I love it that they're evaluating all the options, but that they're moving quickly and it already pulled some titles. Well, Tara, I appreciate you standing up for children. And, I know you guys down there in Fredericksburg, it's been rough. Y'all have been called, bigots and book burners. But I think extremists. But I think the point that we are trying to drive home is these are book boundaries. And, and if we violate Texas penal codes and are harming children, that's not bigoted. That's just protecting children in Texas. And so we applaud you and thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you for all you're doing. I know TexansWakeUp.com is a huge website that is helping hundreds, probably thousands of parents across Texas. I direct people there all the time. So thank you for all of your work. And we need to do this together. And we are going to be in Austin in January. I mean, we're not stopping. We're going to unite together and we're going to work together and get some new laws and policies in place to protect our children.
Amen, girl. Amen. Well, yes. God bless, Tara, and we'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.